review. This time I'll be reviewing this 2018 Corvette Z06. I had the chance to rent one of these cars on vacation in Miami. Hertz rental car is renting them out to celebrate its 100th anniversary. They have 100 examples of them across the US at various airports. While they typically do a special edition Mustang GT, this is their first special edition Corvette. They still have the normal C7 Stingray as their Adrenaline series, but Hertz classifies this high-performance Z06 in their ultimate dream car collection. The Z06 is offered in 3 trim levels: the 1LZ, 2LZ, and the 3LZ, which is the top of the line, and the one that we have here, which features the Brembo brakes, the Alcantara headliner, and the performance data video recorder. And since this is a Z06, another identifying clue is the grayed out taillights, and standard features over the normal Corvette are the magnetic adjustable shocks, the heads-up display, and this car is missing the lower front splitter, which I'm not sure it could be from previous rental damage or it hurts to know how low the car is, and just decided to leave it off altogether to avoid damages. This was my first time driving any C7, let alone the Z06, and I'll admit it's very fast. You have to be very mindful of surrounding traffic as it will close a gap really quickly. The powertrain in this example features the 8-speed automatic and Chevy supercharged LT4 small block V8, which is a 6.2 liter, 650 horsepower, and 650 pound-feet of torque. The torque comes on at 3,600 RPM, and Chevrolet says that this 8-speed auto Z06 would run 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds and run a quarter mile at 10.9 at 127 miles an hour, which is impressive for a car in this price range and this class, because those numbers are definitely in supercar territory. When getting into the Corvette, it feels very bit of Corvette character. It's wide and low to the ground. Sitting inside feels like you're sitting inside of a giant go-kart. I've driven a C5 and a C6 before, but with the C7 and these large side bolsters, I felt getting out took a lot of ab work to lift myself up and out of the car. But this was a great indicator I needed to hit the gym more. And since this was my first time inside of a C7, I could see the small details of how Chevy updated it from the previous generations, and they don't feel so basic and low grade. With the leather interior and the faux leather on the doors and the dashboard, I felt there was a huge improvement. I didn't feel like I was in a Chevy Malibu, like my experience with the C6, but I felt like I was in a Cadillac. And I don't mean that figuratively. It feels like I'm inside of an ATS or a CTS Cadillac. It's a big step forward from its predecessor. There's yellow contrast stitching on the door trim, on the dash and shift knob. Carbon fiber accents everywhere to remind you that in case you forget, you're in something special, from that flat bottom steering wheel to each time you start it, when that engine barks to life. You see there's plenty of space here. There's little cubbies for your phone, cup holders. Dude has extra grab handles for your passenger, 12-volt outlet. And just as what it's like when you first get inside the Corvette, it greets you, has a nice Corvette image. And just sitting in it, you can definitely feel the bolsters, and they are adjustable. You can adjust how tight you want them in, so now I want to start it. It does feature navigation. It does have Apple CarPlay, and you can see right now it has a performance data recorder, which I mentioned earlier. Real-time weather, and you can get your daily forecast, which I'm waiting for it to upload. And I like this feature with the cameras. You can really protect that front end when you're parking, because look how low the car is, but it gives you an image to know how close you're getting to that front parking block. And you have your typical review camera with guidance markers. But let's see, I think I'm getting the forecast to load now. And as you see, it's coming in. But I really enjoyed the cameras. You can choose if you want the guidance when you're pulling up closer to our parking space. It's just something that is very helpful in a car this low, because it's easy to knock off a front piece from a minor parking accident. Here, just going back to the main screen, and actually there's a little hidden compartment behind the screen, and I guess you could put a phone storage, or whatever you want, but I like that little hidden compartment. You have heated and ventilated seats, which do work really well, especially in this Miami weather. And the passenger has controls on this side as well as over here, so they can adjust their temperature and their seat controls, or the seat temperature. There are also different drive mode programs depending on the level of comfort you prefer. Weather, economy, tour, sport, and track. Each setting changes the throttle response, steering feel, the level of sensitivity of the traction control, and suspension stiffness. Also, the exhaust note changes in sport and track modes, letting the supercharged V8 rumble and crackle, which I'll show later in the video. As we see here is the nameplate where the Corvette was built, and since this car was built especially for Hertz, this was number 49 out of 100 examples that will be built. Hertz keeps these cars for an unset amount of miles, and then eventually they sell them out to the public. As we go over some of the other infotainment features, I will say that the Bose in this car really surprised me, because I did not expect it to sound as well as it did. I've listened to other various sound systems such as the Harman Kardon, the B&O with Audis, but the Bose really impressed me. It had good bass, nice and crisp bass, and the highs were very clear and didn't sound very tinny, as long as it was tuned properly. Here I'm just going over some of the other details of the car, some of the stitching and just how the interior looks. But the next feature I will cover will be the Airboat Start, just how easy it is to use. You just press the lock button once and hold down the remote, and the car will then start. As we're looking at all this luggage, I'm sure you're probably thinking there is no possible way that all of this could fit into the back of this Corvette. Well, I'm going to show you it did, and I am just as surprised as you are. Since we're on vacation, we had all of our luggage, and I had my doubts, but it all fit, and I'm going to demonstrate to you right now. 2 large suitcases, a carry-on, and 2 backpacks. And the Corvette swallowed all the luggage with ease. So given the car's class-leading highway fuel economy, this car could be a good car to take on an occasional road trip. And just like that, it all fits. And I just used the integrated handle to close the trunk and let the trunk closer secure the rest. The cup holders can easily handle a 20-ounce bottle without a problem. A wide bottom 32-ounce would be pushing it, but any tumbler should fit with these. Next up is the exhaust clips, and here I just rev with the car in Tour and Sport mode. Next, I'll show you guys the performance of the 0 to 60, 0 to 200, but unfortunately there won't be an exhaust clip because while making that video, the camera somehow fell off the back of the car and got ran over multiple times. SIM card was missing as well. I do have a few acceleration clips, and I know the car is capable of more, but with limited seat time, this was all I could do. I chose to leave the traction system fully enabled due to the power level. You can see how it's active even at 80 miles an hour. I felt the car was quicker by leaving it in dry in sport mode instead of using the paddle shifters in manual mode. When your foot is to the floor and the car goes to what Chevrolet calls performance shift, which I assume is a special algorithm for quicker shifting, and the car lets out nice sparks from the exhaust during upshifts. As you can see, it's really a blast to drive. As you're accelerating, it's so aggressive that it feels like the nose of the car is pointing towards the sky. The speed builds quickly and progressively. I would love to have a track day with this car to really exploit its full potential, where I think the car would be right at home. I wouldn't recommend it as a daily driver based on its low ride height, but it's a perfect car for someone wanting that budget exotic supercar performance but doesn't exactly want to go the Nissan GTR route. With that being said, this concludes this review of the C7 Corvette Z06. Be sure to comment below, and thanks for watching.